Hello and welcome to another episode of Casual Friday, done on Sunday, but we don't have the thumbnails to tell you that, so you'll have to take our word for it. Thank you for staying with the channel. It's been a while, but this show is back. Don, have you missed it, or is this a chore for you?
No, I've missed it. I like the casual Fridays especially. I think it's the best content we create anyway. As casual as it is, it flows, and I like it.
That's a really roundabout way to disrespect Monday markets, but you know what? I'm not going to take it personally. It's fine. Before we start slinging shit at each other, which is, I think, what people tune in for, Technical Roundup has a sponsor now. That's nice, at least for us, but it also can be nice for you if you check it out. Links are available in the description. It's WooX. On the screen here is the Twitter thread that I wrote. It's got our shill link, obviously, but more importantly, it's got the long form article about what it is, how it works. It's got stuff about the transparency dashboard, execution dashboard. We spent a fair bit of time, as mentioned in the other videos, doing diligence and stuff. Maybe that's bearish for some of you, the fact that Don and I actually spent time researching something. But nonetheless, go check it out to support the show. It'll be very consistent from now onwards, hopefully. And yeah, we'd appreciate it. Links in the description. Don, it's nice to have a logo in the bottom left corner. Hopefully, this exchange X doesn't end the same way as the last one, right?
Oh, going right forward,
I mean,
huh?
everyone's thinking it. Let's be real, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
I said the quiet part out loud. But look, if this one blows up, at the very least, we can just start. We can become these like mercenaries where exchanges will pay us not to partner with them, right?
Oh, I'm down for
Yeah,
that.
that would be a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, it's like mafia protection money. It's like OKX. Oh, that's interesting. You've got an X at the end of your name. The last two exchanges who thought similarly, that type of thing. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we're going to get fired over this, but just wanted to be transparent with our audience. We think it's cool. We've done a fair bit of work on it and we'll continue to have a nice input. I think if you're a discretionary click trader, it's one of the better venues to do business. And if you don't believe us, you can just look at the execution dashboard yourself and come to your own conclusions. Anyway, that's cool and nice to have, but I'm sure we've got a lot to catch up on. So let's get into it with the important stuff. How was the castle?
Oh, fucking insane. Oh, I mean, I magical, like legit magical. It was really cool visiting, and yeah, I mean, I would buy it if they sell it. It's just a question of if they will sell it.
I see.
So that's gonna be the thing in the next month or two, figuring that out and then seeing where it goes.
Nice
So
problem to have, Don.
yes.
And get on
But
that
I mean,
ref link now that you know Don's
yes.
purchasing appetite. We need all the
Oh, dude.
volume rebates we can get.
I mean, I think like there's the saying that says like that the two happiest days in a boat owner's life is the day where they buy it and where they sell it, right?
Yes.
That's just like I could see this be the same because that's gonna be fucking
Yeah,
expensive.
except insert castle instead of boat.
Yes, exactly. So
And you did it without PEPE, so that's the more impressive part. But we'll
yeah,
talk
I
about
wouldn't
all of
have to struggle for the reflink money if I bought into
that.
Pepe.
Me neither. Me neither. Great. So we have the monthly time frame up on the screen right now for BTC. I think we had similar views over this, where the monthly is kind of far from support, not super close to resistance either. So you have to look on the weekly and the daily. Do you think it
Mhm.
could consolidate here, or are we going to reach these monthly levels sooner rather than later? Because the
Mm,
resistance side, it's like 35-ish, right? The support
yeah,
side, the earliest is the 24 breakout, and the one I know you were fudding about is the 20K cluster, and we're
yep.
pretty much slap bang in the middle of it. So, can you get any useful information from the monthly, or is it kind of wait until it gets to one of those?
Yeah, I think it waits like it makes sense to just ignore it because I think it's a 50-50
Yeah.
at best. Like either we go to 20 or to 35K. The reason why I'm a little bit more bearish and bullish is because 35K is closer and 20K is further away. But like at the end of the day, like the high time frame, like the monthly is in the middle of nowhere at this point. And it looks like to me like theoretically it's coming from support, right? So we'd be like, okay, it's coming from support, it's going to resistance, but it's most definitely been losing momentum. Just looking at the chart
Mm-hmm.
tells you all about that, right? The candle's been getting much smaller, and there's technically not been any pullback, right? So pullback, even if it's just to 23, 24K, to the consolidation on the left, like the highs of that green
Yeah.
candle. Um, that would make sense to me. So like for me, I think the monthly is neutral-ish. But technically, if you just zoom out completely, we had a massive bearish nuke, right? We almost hit 70K, went all the way down to 16K, and this is technically the first bounce.
Yes.
Like if you're just looking at it from like a very analytical kind of standpoint, and you don't really give a fuck about crypto or Bitcoin, it's technically a bear market rally, right? If you look at it, it's barely a bounce after this thing nuked relentlessly. But given we're crypto fans and given we love the space, it's not how we look at it. So I think like it makes sense to be cautious on the monthly, just given how it looks right now. But I'm not too bearish. I'm still considering 16K to be the bottom. So like 20K is where I'm like, that would be very lucky as an entry. And 35K, I think if we go from here to 35K, that'd be an excellent short entry on the monthly time frame alone, like ignoring every other time frame. And given like that's kind of shitty, right? Like if you long from here to 35K, that's not that much. And if you short from here, it could still go to 35K. So you're kind of like in this shit situation where you would probably get stopped out at the top. So I don't like the monthly. I think there's better time frames right now.
Yeah. We went full 180 Don from monthly time frame maxis to disrespect us, but the market called for it. It did its job super well. I mean, you can't complain, especially at the lows. But yeah, at the moment, it's a bit less useful. Your analysis was really good, so I have to fuck it up now with a bunch of jokes and anecdotes. The first is that I'm working on a daily open video, like the daily open strategy. The issue is a lot of it has to do with when the daily doesn't have like a wick and playing the mean reversion. And every time I go to record that video, I look at the yearly time frame and I just start to morph into crypto capo. Like I start speaking in an Italian accent and doing whatever. And yeah, I'm just looking at that yearly with no wick. And so I can't in good faith make that video because the only comment is going to be, what about the yearly? What do you think about the yearly? And I'm just not comfortable confronting that at the moment. So that I found humorous, and as a reminder whenever we look at these kind of higher time frame candles. The second point is you were talking about how momentum is dissipating, at least on the monthly time frame. That kind of made me chuckle in my head because most people are having to use like awesome oscillator, RSI, different momentum, trend metrics, whatever. And you're just like, the first candle was big. Now this candle is small. Therefore, momentum is dissipating. Big candle become less big candles. Like, fucking hell.
But it's how it works, right?
How it works, yeah.
The funny thing is, right, a lot of this indicator data that people look at where they feel so sophisticated, I mean, it's just price action. Like it's an interpretation of exactly this, right?
Yes.
Like it just uses like the candle sizes and it's like, okay, well, the momentum's running out and it's giving you a nice like momentum line or whatever, and you feel very smart, but at the end of the day it's exactly that, like,
Yes.
okay, a candle is big, candle is small, momentum's not there anymore.
There's a similar one with something I look at is how strong is the trend based on its steepness. You know, it's like we have like a kind of the walk down, and you know, the more steep the line, the more aggressive the trend. So as memey as that looks to superimpose on a chart, it's particularly useful when stuff is getting like parabolic into its final leg, and your trend line is basically like a straight line. That should you know, raise some eyebrows. So it is, you know, as much as I kind of meme about it, I actually agree that you're better off starting off by being able to identify trend and momentum just with an eye test. And by looking at the chart, and then you can integrate and sort of automate and systematize bits of it with indicators. But I wouldn't do the second without the first. That's more of a run before you can walk type of situation. Like if you need the RSI to tell you if stuff is kind of diverging or running out of steam or slowing down, then I don't know, you need more screen time, I think. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Or we're just coping because we're too dumb and like candlesticks only. No, that's also an option. Right?
No, I think like most of the time I look at chart and like, I mean, this is clearly like there's clearly like a loss of momentum, and then I can make the argument like, hey, if you want to have an indicator for it, look at the RSI. I haven't, but I'm sure it's diverging because this is just how the price action is playing out, and then you can see that divergence on the RSI because most of the time it's just how it is, right? Like you see it in the price action, you can pick up on it. You don't necessarily need the RSI or anything else to tell you that. But I mean,
Especially if it's a hidden divergence, because then you can't even see it, so you need to use the chart, right? Who the fuck thought of that name, man? Like a hidden divergence, and then there's a spreadsheet or whatever PDF that teaches you how to identify it. So you're not hiding very well.
The best way to identify like someone that just wants to steal your money is by like if they post a picture and there's this fucking chart on their wall in their like office or whatever shows like candlesticks and like. And you're like, just no.
Yeah. The posters of this is a Haramobu Harambe candle. It's like, oh fuck, just sell me what you're gonna sell me.
There's a dude on Instagram posing as me, and and he posts like some of my charts on Instagram. Like he copies them straight off from like Twitter, and then he actually has some with his face on it too. So he shared like his. He shared his like office or whatever, and it's exactly that. Like, or
Why
like a
would
million.
He do that?
I don't ask me. I think he's trying to sell, or like he is like scamming people, basically, like pretending to be me.
We should bring him on. Sorry, yeah.
But anyway, he has like this poster in the background, and it's like 5 screens, and
no.
Whenever you see that, especially if that's coupled with people showing their like expensive cars, then you know that you're in for a world of hate, like a world of pain if you ever give them any money.
Dude, he's got 5 screens. Fuck me, being a DonAlt impersonator is a pretty good fucking job. I'm gonna try that shit. To be honest, I have always thought of like, how much money would I be able to make being a cred impersonator? You know, and I'd be able to do a pretty good job. Anyway, stay tuned. God, we're off topic. Let's talk about some time frames. So monthly is a dud. Okay, maybe the candlesticks are getting smaller. Maybe that means something. The weekly is very rarely a dud. This is one of the based time frames for BTC.
Yes.
I have mixed feelings about the single green boy cluster box that you've drawn. Now it's working, which is always concerning. But the issue for me is there are just so many better levels, just a bit higher, you know?
Yes.
Like the big weekly range high is at like 32.3-ish. The monthly we know is also sort of just a bit higher at 35. It would just be quite unfortunate and I guess annoying for me personally, for the market to turn around without reaching those and instead just hitting the 30K round number and the less good level and puking. I also want to get your thoughts on, so the weekly range I have at the moment is basically your green box as the local range high. And then as the local range low, it's the Cred Classic, that single fucking red candle after the breakout candle. The close of that's the 20th of March weekly. That's, we closed below it, next week closed above, and that's sort of where our support has been. And that essentially means we're in a range between like 28 and 29 and change, which is pretty miserable on the weekly time frame. We basically spent 2 months here with nothing to show for it. So what do you think about the market? Like, look, basically what I'm trying to get at is my issue is I'm looking at this and it's at resistance at 30K and it's stuck. Right? So on its face, that's bearish. You have a meme coin rally into it, and that's a sign of altcoin froth in the market being extended, right? But purely technically, if you had to make the bull case, is that this resistance isn't resisting super well for the time being. There's been one red candle from it, and then the rest has just been consolidation. And it's a consolidation which also has better levels above it. So I was thinking maybe, just maybe, the market can bail out my desire to trade those higher levels. You basically have an impulse consolidation, which is what we're in now, sort of 5, 6, 7 weeks, however you count it, and then a final push into 32, 35 before we pay for our sins. So I clumsily expressed that, but I just want to get some weekly time frame commentary.
Yeah, I do agree with you that there's better levels above. The reason why I have that cluster is basically because it's the first real resistance, because we didn't really have anything, right? There was just emptiness the entire way up. Like the moment we broke 24K, there was nothing. There was nothing until 30K, and we went all the way there. And then I was like, okay, if the market is, even though it's been showing strength, if it is particularly weak, it's going to have trouble with 30K. If it's a little bit stronger, it's going to have trouble with 32K. And I was basically looking at it. I saw the breakout and I didn't like it. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to look at the 30K resistance as the one that we're going to have to deal with, given how weak the market has been. considering everything. And I think this is like, I'm surprised by how weak it's been given the narrative we've had, right? Like the whole banking thing is such a, like, all like American banks basically going bankrupt, and like multiple at the time. I think that's a really good narrative to have for Bitcoin, and we haven't really been doing as much as I would have expected from that. Um, so I'm seeing like a little bit of weakness there based on like what the narrative should have done and what we are currently doing. But I do agree with you that we could go to 32K and then still break down. I think in general, everything between 30K and 32K is resistance, more so than just the box, even though the box has been doing quite well on its own. But I think that whole area is where you're going to have a bunch of bearish action, because it's just the most logical place to take profit, right? Like if you bought 16K, where are you gonna sell? You're obviously gonna sell at the range bottom of the previous range, right? Like that just makes sense. A lot of people understand that, and I think that can stop this for quite a while. So I think if it doesn't even, like, maybe this doesn't retrace at all, but if it doesn't, I think it's gonna go sideways for quite a while and chew through that kind of overhang that we have of a bunch of people basically that made quite a bit of money from the run up, that are now gonna dump into basically anything above 30K.
Yeah, I agree with you about the banking narrative. It seems like from this action, it's the only thing that sort of kept us here,
Yes.
where it
Yes.
really looked on the verge of breaking down, especially after that weekly engulfing type of candle. But then we had more bank failing, and it seems like the market just wanted round two because round one was so sexy, like the 24K breakout move, and just even
Yep.
before that. So I think even in terms of that, it's like the efficacy of that narrative seems to have entered diminishing returns, right? Like if you look at the
Yep.
last time how the market reacted versus this time, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'm buying PEPE, or however the saying goes. uh, so yeah, the weekly, I mean, it's just chop for now, right? And it's like, and
It's
even
chop out
if
resistance.
yes, chop at resistance. And thing is, even if it breaks the 30K cluster, would you buy that breakout or no?
Yeah. Honestly, it really depends. Right now, I really don't feel like it. Like I just don't want to deal with it. Given I just have like a bunch of real life events coming. With my daughter being born soon. So
Allegedly.
like allegedly, hopefully. So like I'm probably just not going to. Like if anything, I would want to, like, if this breaks out right and it goes truly bull, um, I'm just gonna wait for the first major pullback. Whether that's gonna be from, like, if we pull back from 60K to 45, like I'm down with that. I never really minded buying higher.
The price is the price, right?
The price, yeah. I mean, I would mind, like with Bitcoin, I don't mind buying higher. With altcoins, it's kind of like a thing where like I struggle a little bit. But with Bitcoin, it's just like, okay, if it goes full bull, it goes full bull, and you just buy when it's technically bullish, right? But right now, I honestly don't really have much of a want or like any FOMO or any like kind of like, okay, if this goes to 40K, am I gonna buy? Like, I'm pretty chill about it. I don't know if that's bullish or bearish. But I couldn't be asked, honestly. Like, this was a 2x from the bottom in Bitcoin, and I don't think, and this is the macro lab in me, but I don't think the macro situation is really too clean for me to like have to rush into things. I think we have quite a bit of time in general. I think the markets in general are gonna cool off, be that through prices going down or be that through prices just going sideways and chopping, which we've had, right? Like if you just look on the low time frames, everyone's been getting liquidated left, right, and center on almost any kind of in any market. But the only thing that's been, and it's been moving kind of in a range where the option traders don't make any money either, right? Like it's basically fucking over the longs, it's fucking over the shorts, and it's fucking over the option traders, like at least the ones, the retail, so to say, people that trying to make bank on big movements. I mean, the people that are writing the options probably laugh their way to the bank right now. But like, I think that's going to continue. And given that's the backdrop, I don't really necessarily feel like rushing into anything. But I could be completely wrong there, given we have a strong narrative. But then again, I think about how weak that narrative has affected price. Makes me even more confident that I'm just like, even if it goes up, I'm just gonna treat it as like probably just another way to fuck over shorts before it goes back to like 29, 28, 27, maybe all the way down to 20, but anything in between there. I think like between 20 and 30K is probably where we're going to move. If we go above for a little bit, I'm guessing it's going to come back below it again. So yeah, there you go. It's a shitty answer.
Miserable,
Yes.
It's a miserable prognosis, but one that might be correct. Thing is, I intellectually agree with your conclusions. I wonder if you're reaching them dishonestly, as in like you're coping because you fucking hate macro and don't give a shit about that type of stuff.
Yes.
And it just so happens that your personal family life is about to go insane, and lo and behold, the market is going to chop forever and not go anywhere. It's like, okay, fuck me, right? Like, I mean, I get it. I agree with you. But
one thing I have to say about that is that like the reason why I hated macros so loudly is just because people kind of like everyone's like macros shit, crypto cannot go up, right? And that came at a point where we were down like how much was it? Like almost 80% from the high,
yeah.
right? Like at some point, like it was pretty obvious that crypto had overshot the macro situation, right? And for good reason too. Like we had FTX imploding, we had Free Arrows Capital imploding, we had Luna, all that shit, right? So we kind of overshot to the downside massively, and I was like, this is just stupid, right? All these macro pros that just learned how to like, they're like, oh, price went down 80%. I understand the global markets now, so I'm going to be bearish because the global markets should be bearish. And I was like, you could have done that ages ago. And now that we've overshot to the downside, like it seems like a very risky way to trade, right? Because I mean, even if you're right and the macro situation is kind of shit, like if a market goes down 99%, it can rally like a 10x and it's still down a shitload, right? And that was basically all my argument why I was like, this kind of macro lapping is kind of stupid. But now that we are kind of at a midpoint again, like to me anyway, like the range is from 16K to 15K in my head, right? And 30K is pretty much smack dab in the middle of that. So like that's a price that makes sense to me. Like that's kind of what we've been like, we overshot 30K a bunch and went to 60, and we undershot 30K a bunch and went to 15. And anything around 30 seems fair to me.
Wake
and
up,
then,
babe! New fair value just dropped for BTC.
Yeah, but like I don't want to buy fair, right? Like
Yes,
I want to
of
buy
course.
cheap, or I want to buy into a mania, right? Because I'm like, okay, I can sell higher, but I don't want to buy fair. And right now, like 30K seems more than fair to me, so I'm just not interested in it.
I fucking hate when you make those types of calls because from knowing you for 6 years, how long it's been, those are always the best ones. When I ask you for your reasoning and you're like, I don't know, just a bit cheap, bit expensive, or it's fair, like super
Yes.
ad hoc determinations have a terrifying strike rate. I also feel like my job, and let me know in the comments if I'm correct, I am to some extent the duck whisperer on this channel. Like I've memed before about. Like I've memed before about this me interviewing you on this show or whatever, which is kind of not a meme. But it feels like some specific things, especially when you were doing your live streams and tweets and we were taking a break from Casual Friday, people were like, what the fuck is going on? He said, if Bitcoin goes down here, what's the point of the whole asset class? Because if it can't rally during a banking crisis, it's fucked. Now he's saying it's fair value. Suddenly macro matters. He wanted to see, he said he was going to hold to 60 and then he sold. And then it feels like every Friday people were waiting for the one priest that can translate the Latin, to fucking come in there and let the let the parish know, let the congregation know what was being said. So I hope I guess it's good to be back on this side of the desk.
I actually like it. I'm too retarded to make sense. You're the only one
I
who
just
can
give you
translate
plausible
it.
deniability. Yeah, like so what you're really saying is yeah, sure, why not?
Yep.
We've managed in 25 minutes to get through 2 time frames.
Oh, this is the best show.
Oh,
It's the best
man.
show on the internet.
Fuck. Casual
Oh.
castles every weekend with Don. Is it worth talking about the daily, or is this just designed to take your money?
Oh, the daily is just designed to take your money. But like that's like it's a horrific chart, right? But one thing I do want to note is that we kind of have like in the last few days we have like a flat top at 30K, and we've been kind of curling upwards. So I mean the pattern loses among our followers.
DonAlt on Instagram.
I mean, I'm not even hating on patterns, but you can draw one here, like an
Yeah.
ascending triangle, like with the top being like 29.5, and then like just an ascending kind of like triangle thingy. I think this is actually gonna be very interesting. If it just goes sideways, that'd be a good tell that we're just gonna go sideways. If it goes up, it's a good tell that we're gonna
Here
go
we
up.
go. Yeah.
No, but I think this, like, if you break out here and actually maintain it for a bit, I could see this rally towards like 35K,
Yeah.
like the monthly levels, like 32, 3, 4, 5, but rather like the high end than the low end. If this just goes sideways, it's shit market. You shouldn't be trading. Like if it walks out of the pattern, and if it breaks down, I think then you really do have like a correction on your hands. If you want to use that, I don't know. I don't really use it. I mean, I sold 30K. I was like, okay, it's good enough for me. But I think this is like, it's going to be interesting to watch anyway, because we are kind of pushing against 30K, more so than we're pushing into the lows, right? Like 27K got tested basically once, and then we had this quick sell off. But that didn't even go all the way back to the lows. So like we've been coming back to these highs quite a bit, but I think in general, given that my whole view is that this market is right now designed to take your money, especially if you're trading leverage. It's to be, I mean, you should be very careful, like on all the low time frame stuff, because that's legit. Like just it's predatory
Yeah.
market.
Predatory. Unless you're
More
using
so
our
than
ref
anything.
link, right? In which case
Exactly.
it's a
Then
field of roses and Garden of Eden.
yeah, then knock yourself out. Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I agree with you. That's really all there is to it. If my focus is this agonizing weekly range, I would feel super disrespected if this one green candle just turns the whole ship around. But I've seen weirder things happen. And I guess it's also the macro point you made. That's one we made incessantly on this channel, trying to give us some semblance of credit, which is the idea that as the lower prices went, the more likely it would be that it could decouple and rally without even changing anything as far as macro went, right?
Yep.
And that's pretty much exactly what we had. Just needed a bit of narrative, and sellers ran out of coins at bad prices, and the rest is just crypto, right?
Yep.
Cool. We've covered Bitcoin. Don't know how I do it in Monday markets in like 10 minutes if this took us 27, but nonetheless. We have ETH. ETH is also a cryptocurrency asset. I'm sure you've heard of it. The monthly time frame on this one, if you want big candles become small candles, I mean, this is the prime candidate. Ever since that, this is a very lackluster breakout so far from sort of 1680 or whatever. And I think it's a similar boat, at least to me, as BTC. We have a monthly breakout that's good, hasn't quite yet reached monthly resistance, which I think the earliest version of is 2270, 2300, and then it's just equidistant basically from both, and that's it. I think the utility of the monthly time frame runs out there. Do you have any different views?
Yeah, I agree. I think in general, like the monthly time frames are really good for buying, right? And then like everything else, like really, really high time frame buying, you will do well with the monthlies. Like if there's a level that's untested, there's like just very, very pretty. If something bad happens to any of these currencies, probably gonna retest exactly that level, and then you're gonna have fun buying that. But then like actually choosing your targets and actually like kind of doing other trades other than just that one buy, it's pretty tough. Like I don't like the monthly here either. I think it's too close to resistance. I mean, it almost hit the monthly kind of underside of the consolidation that we had, that head and shoulders. Like it's basically head and shoulders retest right now. Yeah, not the biggest fan, but also it's not too bearish, right? It's just like it's a shitty chart
It's just
where
there.
yeah, I like that one I would skip.
The monthly is the new weekly, Don. Remember when we had to go through weekly time frame purgatory because it was such a shit time frame?
Yep. they kind of flip, and then I think people always make fun of the monthly time frame because they don't know how to use it.
Yes.
And then once it gets good, people look too much at the monthly time frame, because realistically, what you can do with the monthly time frame is buy once and then you walk away for 2 years. So it's gonna be good, like it's gonna be excellent, but then it's not gonna do much for you afterwards.
Which also means if you fumble it, you're in a bad spot. Not that I would know, allegedly, in Minecraft. We have the weekly, though, to maybe
Yes.
save us. The level I'm using is a bit more recent to measure whether this is a failed breakout. It's the high of basically the top of the rally we had from the lows at 1935, which is the last time I took a trade as well, coincidentally. I know you go all the way back to the high of February 21, but that's literally the exact same level, right? It's at 1930 something, the top side of it anyway. We engulfed back below it, and that I even tweeted about that because that just looked like a proper failed breakout through a very important extremity. And you and I both have a healthy dollop of PTSD from failed breakouts in crypto because they suck and they're usually very bearish. The 2 following weeks have been a bit sort of choppy. Honestly, these tend to follow through a bit more quick than what we've seen thus far, because we basically had like the engulfing candle and then 2 weeks of that same grind you described on BTC, just on the weekly ETH, right? We retested it last week and closed below, and now we've got like a deeper push. We spiked the high of the previous week, and now we've got a bit of a weekend pump into it. So what'd you make of this? It's one of those, like, my general consternation with this thing is that it's technically bearish, but it's not doing bearish things yet, both for BTC and ETH, and I really don't like when that shit happens. So how do we splice this up?
I actually agree with you, because I mean, like, this is like the most bearish thing that could have happened, right? Like, we had a really strong breakout that immediately got fully engulfed, like just completely shit on, basically. And but now the last 2 weeks just have not been doing anything, right? And if this is like a false breakout, like, it should be taking advantage of the people that are trapped above the breakout, and it's not really doing so. So it's not really particularly bearish. Like, it got a lot less bearish in the last 2 weeks. Let's say it that way. But it's also not looking good, right? As long as it doesn't trade or close above that level in a convincing fashion, it still looks like shit to me. But like, that's why I'm like, so, like, I don't know, so ambivalent, because I would hate shorting this right now. Like, I would completely hate shorting it, but I would also hate having it, because I mean, this is technically still a false breakout, which, I mean, that usually marks tops, right? And it's a decent strike rate. We've had a bunch of them over the years, and usually you just don't want to fade it. So for me, it makes much more sense to just be sidelined and give it some room. If it wants to come back up towards like 2.1K, I think there's a lot of room to go higher. But yeah, I wouldn't want to kind of counter trade the false breakout just because it doesn't have immediate follow through, especially given that we have like this whole like meme coin rally right now that is giving ETH a little bit of a narrative. Because if you look at the like
burn,
how deep,
bro.
yeah, exactly, the
Yeah.
burn, like a bunch of people are kind of like looking at that and being super bullish about it. It's like, it's technically like, this feels like a bear market still, right? Like, the market is trading like a bear market. Like, there's not that much interest besides like the meme coins right now. So I've seen the argument thrown around like, hey, we're burning like so much ETH in a quasi bear market, and what will happen once we get into bull market territory. And those people are obviously, like, if you look at it from that standpoint, you're going to be quite bullish on it because it's just going to burn a shitload. I'm not so sure I'm just going to trade price, but I think it's a decent narrative to have. Like, Bitcoin and ETH both have a decent narrative that almost all the other altcoins don't have, right? Like, altcoins across the board has been looking shit.
They look
and
rough. Yeah.
been trading rough too. Seen a bunch of people, like, funding's kind of turned negative on a bunch of them. So I've seen a bunch of people position themselves for weekend rally
I
on
love
the
how you say a bunch
altcoins.
of people know the exact dude you're talking about, but it's fine. Go on.
No, I've actually seen like a few, but
Okay.
I think like one posted on Twitter, yeah. But
Yeah.
I've seen a few like kind of being like, okay, let's short squeeze basically. I don't know, market just seems dead to me, and Bitcoin and ETH have a narrative, so it's hard to be too bearish, but the charts kind of look rough, and the altcoins across the board don't have a narrative, and the charts kind of look shit. So for me, that's a no-go. So we're kind of in the situation where I'm just like, I don't see a trade anywhere. Like to me, like trades were obvious left, right, and centers just like a couple months ago. Now it's the exact opposite. Like I just don't see anything. But then again, this is not necessarily the environment that I'm particularly good in, right?
You've done
like
the hard part. It's fine.
Yeah,
you'll be forgiven that much.
I'm good at when it completely like giga nukes, or when it very much rips. Like those I can kind of deal with. This stuff, just not fun to trade, and I don't really think there's too much edge for me to be had. So I'm just staying out.
Or staying in a castle. It's like BTC and ETH have narratives, but they're at resistance. Altcoins don't have narratives and they look shit. And the only altcoins that are sort of tradable are the meme coins. And I think we're on the tail end of longevity for a lot of those.
Yep. And then what happens if they nuke, right? Like what happens if your favorite meme coin starts nuking? The market all of a sudden looks much, much worse.
Yeah. I still have such disdain for this type of mega at resistance, but isn't giving you bearish price action type of setup.
Yes.
I have so much PTSD from it. You have no idea. Because every time you can quite reasonably kick yourself for getting it wrong. Because if it's at resistance and it's not breaking down and you long it, and then it nukes in like one candle, in hindsight, you feel like a complete idiot, right? You feel impatient and that you fumbled it and it was just a gift of giving you so many entries and you fucked it up. On the other hand, if it's not doing bearish price action stuff at resistance, normally those invalidations and breaks tend to be massive, right? And then you feel like an idiot because you were like, oh my God, all the warning signs were there. And I was telling myself that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. And it just kept giving me retests, which it shouldn't do, and so on and so forth. It's like the story of my trading career there.
Oh, yeah, but like that's the exact situation that you want to avoid, right? Because if both of the scenarios make sense, and I think like legit, that's exactly where we are right now. You're gonna flip flop basically, like, and this is what I see all over Twitter right now, right? Like people are very bearish, price goes up 2%, and they're suddenly very, very bullish. Price goes back down 2%, they're very bearish again. And you lose a shitload of money that way, right? And the reason for that is because both sides are quite reasonable, I think. We went from, I think, to, at least in my mind, like the bullish side just being the only reasonable one, to kind of having both now. And when you're having both, it's much, much harder, because then, like, especially if you see both, right? If you just see the bullish side and you trade the bullish side and you don't let go, cool. But if you see both sides and you're just trying to take advantage of it, and then you just go from one position to the other because both make sense to you, it's the worst combination of like trading. Like it's just always gonna make you lose money.
And you can just open the weekly, especially on BTC. And if you've been mega flip-flopping bias in the $2,000 range, that's probably worth some reassessment. I think in general, even from just like a directional bias and chart hygiene point of view, it's worth every week at least just cleaning everything up and starting from the higher time frames and just getting your bearings, even if you are a lower time frame participant. It really helps give you some perspective. That's BTC and ETH. I'm not going to give ETH BTC the courtesy of looking at it, because this thing has done nothing for weeks and months, and even when it looked like it was going to do something, it ended up doing nothing. Now that I've said that, it's going to move like 50%. But nonetheless, still kind of retesting the same range, sort of. There's nothing here. Yeah,
actually looks like a bearish retest.
It does look. Yeah, I've got the exact line you've probly got at the moment.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, but honestly,
it's a wickless weekly.
Yes, it is actually.
Yes, so's Bitcoin's yearly candle, Don.
Oh yeah, keep flooding.
It's only May, buddy.
But I think with ETH BTC, it's just making lower highs. It's been doing that for quite a while. And the funny thing is, with all that like deflationary talk, right, and the ETH burn, would be quite funny if the ETH market cap goes down like consistently, you know, but just like it, because we burn ETH basically, and price is going down while we're burning ETH. So you have like a much, much smaller market. makes it more interesting the next time like the
That's
bull
true.
comes out.
The
But
flywheel effect. Thing is, it's funny. One of
yeah.
the other sort of predictions things we talked about came true recently. Do you remember when we were talking about how priced in the merge was and proof of stake updates and all this type of stuff?
Yes.
And one of our arguments was that it's a later bull market slash better market conditions narrative when you have activity and there's a burn and all the I think the bank I used was UBS and stuff are going to be selling and sending so-called research to their clients about this deflationary amazing upgrade. Goldman Sachs did it at the Pico top, like above 2k or something, or 19 something. They sent out a note about how deflationary ETH is. So staying one step ahead of the bankers, which, judging by how US regional banks are doing, isn't the most difficult thing in the world, but I'll take it nonetheless. Altcoins. Listen, let's start with the memes. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, also, PEPE is up 13.37% at the moment,
Yeah.
which is good internet memes. So I made a video on Friday while you were in a castle. Man of the people coming in with the market updates. At that time, I think this thing went to number 70 something in coin market cap, or maybe even higher. But also, more importantly, it was listed in Binance's so-called innovation zone, along with
No.
Floki. So that's the kind of state of the market at the moment. But one of my things was I made a list of sort of proxies for measuring how frothy the market is based on specific altcoin metrics. And one of them was altcoin trading. One, we wrote about in Technical Roundup, trletter.com, our newsletter. Go sign up. We sometimes post good stuff there. Every week is good stuff. I was really selling it there. Altcoin volume by dominance by volume, right? So if like most of the market starts trading altcoins significantly more than BTC and ETH, that just sort of tells you that things are extended a little bit or stretched out, and it's certainly more gambling in the market than speculating on the allowed coins. Another one was altcoin liquidity vacuums, right? Like we had with Dogecoin and Sheep to some extent, when basically the entire market just becomes hyper focused on one coin. It decouples and decorrelates from everything. It flippens usually ETH by volume as well, and there's literally only one game in town. That tends to be an end times sort of signal, and the other two are more generic about like funding rate and futures premia, especially when it diverges from price action. And the last one, I think, is some mixture of those. I forgot what it was. In any case, I feel like we're ticking a lot of boxes with PEPE at the moment, especially post. The market cap argument is strong, and the Binance Innovation Zone, whatever one, is also fairly strong. And you could also start making a technical case for the first kind of break in market structure, at least on lower time frames. Although it doesn't seem terribly blow off toppy at the moment. If you had to put a gun to my head, type of thing, just based on the price action. So I think my view on this is, I guess my 2 points to make is, one, if you like short-term trading, just short-term trade this thing. The entire market is looking at it. It's got a bunch of liquidity and volume, or at least enough, and whatever. And that means the price action tends to be pretty good, right? Especially if you know there's going to be a large crowd of newer participants trading it. They make bad decisions. So your normal failed breakdown, sell low, buy high type of thing that they do is exacerbated more than ever before. So I think having some attention there makes sense. And even just looking at the watch list, just by far the most volatile thing as well. So that's all very good. But the second point I'll make is it just seems, having ticked a lot of those boxes with market cap and listings and whatever else, if not from a time, almost, in my view, quite likely from a price point of view. Nope, I got that the wrong way around. Even if not from a price point of view, I think from a time point of view, we're getting towards the tail end of how long this thing is going to keep printing 10, 50, 100% up days. So you've been silent on this issue, boomer that you are. But what do you think of the meme coin sort of prospects, I suppose?
Yeah, it's like this thing is gonna go down like a shitload, right? So it's basically just like it's a game of chicken. Like, who's gonna sell first? Are you ready to kind of give back 80% for the next 2x or 3x, or you know, basically? And then like the longer this goes on and the higher it goes, the more reasonable the way of the chicken is, right? You just want to get out at some point. But for me, it's really hard to judge how high these things can go because the market's way too retarded. Like, it's crypto, right? People just punt millions into things like this. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like, most of the signs are already there. I'd be surprised if this goes on for too long. Like either it goes now and it goes like then prints another like in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 days, like a lot, like another like 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, or I think it's pretty much done. As in, what I want to say is same as you, time wise. I think there's not that much left. This thing isn't gonna print money for the next month or two. It's gonna top in the next few days, I think. It's just a question of whether it's gonna be. I would never short this thing if funding is negative in general, even in my shorting days. Nowadays, I just don't short anymore. I think in general, like, I don't know, it seems like a shitty idea to. I saw people shorting this thing.
On listing, right?
Yeah, on listing, and I
FTX,
was like,
BTSD.
and it's like people are like paying stupid amounts of funding, and if I was actually home, I might have even long PEPE at that point because it's just stupid, right? Like I even made a tweet and it was like the only people that are dumber than the people buying PEPE are the ones shorting it. And then we obviously 3x or something afterwards. But yeah, I think if you have like a bunch of people, it's basically just to blow people out now. I think most of the kind of move is done. If people start shorting again, it can have another leg higher. If they don't, it's probably gonna bleed out from roughly here. But I don't know. It's not necessarily like I don't really care about it too much, other than the signals for the market. Like if you have a
Yes.
meme coin like this going up crazy, I'm not gonna be here and be like, "Ha, I need to short the top of PEPE to make $1 million."
Or Twitter followers, which is I think the
Yes,
main reason people are trying.
like that. I don't see the point, right? Like for me, it's just like this is stupid, obviously, but it can go much higher than you'd expect. But obviously, it's gonna go much lower than the people holding it expect to, which is basically it's gonna probably go to near zero eventually.
Do you
I'd
think
be
do you think
shocked
it's a
if
meme
not.
coin that has longevity? Like, Dogecoin is a meme coin, and obviously its impact is much less. But for a while, it was still kind of relevant as a risk rotation, even after the SNL top. It sort of stuck around to some extent. Do you think this has that type of staying power, or is it a very short-term phenomenon that we're going to view back and say everyone was FOMOing to list a frog coin and it went up 1,000,000% because people shorted it, and also because of it was the only game in town, and then it just bled out and no one talked about it again. So what's your staying power perspective?
I think it probably won't have much staying power. I could be wrong on this. Depends on the community, obviously, like what they do with it. But I still remember people trying to convince me that Shiba Inu would have staying power, and I don't think anyone gives a fuck anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Like Doge is just the meme coin, right? And
Yes.
then that's why it sticks around. Like people know it, like it, but it hasn't had the best price action either,
It
right?
looks
Like
a lot like
let's be real.
Sheep. I'm just clicking between the two at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
the dog
basically
has been
people.
put down.
Yeah. So I don't I think it's gonna trade like Shiba Inu basically, where you have like a massive run up and then just basically go to near zero, and then you can have like your consolidation and years of shit price action. I think that's basically how it's gonna end out, like end up playing out.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
helpful. Also, again, a lesson learned the hard way. If you're going to be trading these meme coins, they are way more volatile than your normal chart eyesight might tell you. So size down, or at least adjust your sizing for these things. Because even if you go from like the most recent top to the bottom of this move, it kind of looks like just a standard TA break-in market structure walk down. It halved. It went down like 50% from high to low, and
That's a
then
good halving.
yeah, that's the real halving. And then from the low to where it is right now, that's like a 30% pump. This is super, super volatile. You shouldn't even really need, if there are decent, depending on which one's more liquid, I haven't been paying much attention. But if there are decent spot markets for this thing, using leverage is just going to exacerbate your death, I think, on this one. Because especially the
Yeah,
way
I
most
agree.
people use leverage, I wouldn't, I wouldn't, full stop. The only other altcoin I want to bring to your attention that has seen some Twitter chatter is OP.
Oh
This
yeah.
this thing looks kind of shit. Um, I mean, it's at sort of the weekly range high now,
Oof.
on the USD pair. But if that breaks down, then it just looks like we had 3-4 months of distribution, and then back inside the range would be pretty fucking hideous, I think, on the
Mhm.
USD pair. And then on the BTC pair, it's almost like a preview of the future, because that's basically exactly what happened, right? It sort of broke out against BTC,
Yep.
spent months doing nothing, back inside, and I think, yeah, normal range trading stuff, trading near the midpoint now, and then the range low is lower at sort of 36s or thereabouts. So
Yeah.
that's one that's on my radar. That's a mouthful, because it risks looking really bad. What do you think? And do you have any other altcoins? I'm not going to ask you about Litecoin, but um, you know
No, I mean,
what? Fuck you. The $100 resistance, the
I
adamantium.
mean, I sold it.
I know you
At the
did.
end of the day, I
I
sold it.
know you did.
And I mean, the funny thing with Litecoin, like I sold it at 98, and I had people like telling me that I was stupid for selling the bottom,
Oh, I
and I was
saw you
like,
quote retweet that guy. Yeah, he was
I
like,
was like,
"Oh, the
the fuck
halving's
is that?
coming," and all this shit.
But no, like OP looks like Lido to me. They're pretty
Interesting.
much doing the same thing. I don't like it. I like in general, like I look through the altcoin landscape, and I have troubles kind of seeing the altcoins do too well. I could be saying this at the bottom, but like there's no real indication for me that there's anything good going on. Like
Yeah.
I just scroll through the list and I'm like, some of them had really nice rallies, right? Especially against Bitcoin. Like if you look at it, like for example, Link was bleeding out from 2020 all the way down to like 2022, and then we had like a little bit of a rally that got stuffed at resistance. Now it just looks like against Bitcoin. Now it looks like a fucking bearish retest, right? And this is after it's already been going down for 3 years. And I failed to see like any urgency from anyone to buy into these things. It just looks like people are holding them. And with regards to OP and Lido, both of them, like if the altcoin situation doesn't change, like I think both of these would be an interesting pick if the altcoin situation changes, right? Because I think they've been outperforming when it was like when a few things were going up, and they're not necessarily underperforming now that things are going down. They're going down as is everything else. So I think they're gonna be good picks if altcoins go up. I just don't think altcoins will go up, which makes me not want to buy them, and which makes me look at them in a bearish light. Like if you just look at Lido, for example, I think that's cleaner than OP. That's already broken down, right? That daily range, it looks like a head and shoulders top-ish. And if that doesn't come back above $2 anytime soon, it looks horrendous. And I think that's one of the ones, and that's an altcoin that actually even has a narrative right now, right? And OP is one of the ones that is hotter than a
Arbitrum
lot
as
of,
well. Since we're
yeah.
on this topic, that retraced. Basically, it's
When you see this, right, like the ones that are talked about on Twitter, and the ones that like a bunch of people kind of try to make pump, because that's the thing, right? People are just like, oh, this is the narrative, and they just try to make people excited about the narrative. Like when that happens and these coins fail after having had bullish price action, I just don't want to touch any altcoins, because if those coins cannot make it in the current climate, then almost no coin can, and you're fighting an uphill battle. I think there's better times, and even if any of these coins goes 5 or 10x like PEPE did, if that happens to any normal coin, so to say, right, then you can still catch the 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 coins that move slower, right? Because that's always going to be the case. Like if Dogecoin went up 5 or 10x, you can be sure that all the other coins would do like a 2x as well. Just by like not all the other coins, but most of them, but just people being like, ah, fuck, I missed out on Doge. I'm gonna buy whatever. And this is something that you see in the current meme coin rotation too, right? Like a bunch of people saw PEPE go up, and they're buying biggest garbage shit that they can find, just to catch the money flowing into the market somehow. At the end of the
We're
day,
hoping money flows, right?
yeah, and at the end of the day, they're buying more and more garbage, and that's gonna end poorly always. Like this shit always ends poorly.
There just isn't enough liquidity to go around, it feels like, at the moment. For BTC and ETH, just kind of stuck at these resistances, which I'd like them to clear because we get better levels, but they're still there. And then it even feels like the normal rotation that we're used to and have made arguments for, where you go like BTC, ETH, slightly further out on the risk curve, and it's kind of a linear or at least step-by-step process. That seems to have gone out of the window, and people's time horizons have narrowed significantly, and risk appetite has increased. So now it seems like BTC and ETH go up enough, and then you just go into the biggest, either the newest coin or the biggest garbage, and there's no kind of intermediate stage, which is why so many of these decently high cap alts, as we click through the watch list, just look completely uninteresting, and that's the thing, being charitable.
I think that's like one of the best arguments for why this might be a bear market rally. Like if you're bearish, just looking at the disinterest of, like, usually people are trying to make the space look good by like pumping reputable coins, I guess. That's completely missing, right? People are just literally PvPing and playing the meme coins because they don't have enough faith in the coins that are supposed to be cool, which, I mean, to me, it's mostly garbage anyway. But they're not even trying to pretend at this point, right? Which is quite bearish, I think, in general. Like you see these big funds, they don't want to expose themselves to anything. They'd rather just kind of see if they can PvP it out. Like there's no conviction anywhere. And
everything is a meme coin, I guess. Just some take themselves less seriously than others. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't like seeing that risk rotation in any case. But Seethe plus Cope plus Ratio plus you missed it, L, Bozo, all the normal.
Like something about that argument, like it's always so weird to me, right? Like it's like when people are like, oh, you missed this and that meme coin, right? To someone that doesn't trade meme coins, right? It's this thing where, like, let's say you're like someone wins the lottery, right? And you're like, fuck, why did I like you didn't even buy a ticket, like you would have never bought a ticket. Like, why would you be mad that someone else wins the lottery? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Because I mean, I don't know if people like that exist, but if I'm not buying a lottery ticket, like I couldn't give less of a fuck about people winning the lottery. Like, why would I be upset about it? Like, I never had like a leg in that race anyway. And that's for me the same with like PEPE and with all these like very, very shit coins. Like, I'd rather not touch them. And then, I mean, I'm happy for the people that make money with it. But the funny thing is with meme coins, right? I feel kind of a little bit weird saying that because it's PvP, right? Like someone is going to make money if another person is losing it with these meme coins. Like it's not like they're adding anything to any value at all. Like it's literally just if you make money, someone else is losing it and vice versa. And that's like a little bit of a tough one because, I mean, I'm obviously happy for the people making money, but then you'd be sad for the people losing money. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a toss up. I find it like a little bit stupid. That whole space is a little bit, I don't know, just seems stupid to me.
Also, if you've done so well and you've caught it, why on earth, how on earth am I supposed to square that with the fact that you find it appropriate to go on Twitter and sort of be negative and mock people and do whatever else? You should be having, your focus should be on trade management or be happy and cash it out, do whatever. Like I find it hard.
You should be buying castles.
You should be buying castles. Yeah, I find it hard to square those two things. Like, oh yeah, I made it big on a meme coin, so now I'm going to spend all my time telling people that they're idiots for not buying it, which would have taken from your liquidity, which is against your self-interest. It's weird.
Yes.
Also, I will also mention, as far as meme coins go, nope, I've completely forgotten what I was going to say. I thought it was going to be this super useful, insightful point, and it's just escaped me completely. Maybe it'll come back to me, but that wisdom is just hidden from the universe forever now. Too bad. Should we talk about some news?
Yeah, that's it.
Let's do it. We've missed a fair bit, obviously, so I went back some ways, and we can cover the big ones. Also, leave a like on the video if you're happy that Casual Friday is back. It's normally on a Friday, but castles. The first article from the block is PEPE meme coin tops 1 billion market cap even as Binance flags lack of utility. Which to me was quite funny. So we talked about Pepe at length, obviously, but it's the lack of utility thing that
Yes.
got me. Because if you had to make that disclaimer and disclosure honestly for all the coins that you list, I'm pretty sure the vast majority of them would have that type of warning.
Yeah, but the
It's
the
all a
vast
liquidity thing.
majority is pretending, like
Yes,
that's the
yes.
thing. Like they're at least pretending, and I think like Binance knows this too, right? Like it's kind of like everyone's just like praying that Pepe is gonna be like, oh, we do this and that, so we can pretend to be sophisticated at the end of the day.
Mm,
Because like this is a bad look. I
sure,
mean,
yeah.
like not that it matters at all, and it's crypto, right? And like it's okay. But at the end of the day, like this is a bad look for the industry. Like we just have had FTX blow up, we had 3AC blow up, we had a Luna just reach a shitload of people and then blow up. And now, like in the recovery, right? At the height of the recovery after 2x, where the headlines could be like, hey, crypto is like recovering strongly, it's like Pipicoin. It's like, what the fuck? But fair enough. Like I'm not hating on it. It's just funny to me. Like that's just peak crypto, I think.
It is peak crypto. Yeah. Nice to get a reminder about what the space is about. I don't even mean that in a bad sense. It's just like, even as Stephen Zhang, I've mispronounced his name there, I'm sure, said in the article, this is the purest representation of crypto's speculative prowess. And I suppose he's right. Bitcoin ordinals face new challenge after developer inserts bug to throw out numbering. So it seems like a small contingent of Bitcoiners. I don't like the term Bitcoin maxis or whatever, but I'm sure it's become it's a pejorative term, but also it's useful because people know exactly about the subgroup that you're talking about. So I'm kind of back and forth on using it. But though,
Mm.
people with those philosophical views about Bitcoin, who started saying that the whole thing is, having ordinals and NFTs and whatever on Bitcoin is like a DDoS attack, and how it's junk and it shouldn't be there, which to me was, and we've discussed this before, was like a deeply unserious position, especially when Bitcoin has a security fee concern about the future. If people start using the damn thing, that concern is allayed or pushed back somewhat, right?
Yes.
If the actual network sees usage beyond just sort of holding and people do things with it, I don't think they have to. And I'm sure we'll figure out a reasonable way to deal with the security model. But I'm not going to frown upon people finding use cases for BTC, especially as the standard has generally gone up in crypto as far as blockchains doing things that aren't just fundraise ICO scams. I sort of, I think it's a net positive, even if, yes,
Hmm.
the large by volume and by quantity and whatever else, it's still mostly used for like scam Ponzi's, whatever, but at least people using the damn things, right? So and also, even philosophically, as long as you pay the fee for the block space, if you're going to make like a censorship resistant, neutral, yada yada, arbiter type of currency, you should really be deeply unconcerned with what people are using it for, as long as they adhere to the economic rules, right?
Yes.
That
I
always
mean,
has seemed to make sense to me, but apparently, the gatekeepers, Don, have a different position.
it's so odd to me. It just makes no sense. Like I've seen a bunch of like shouts for censorship, and I'm just like, this makes no sense. Like either you are for censorship or you're against it. You cannot have both, and they're trying to have both. Like they're trying to censor what people make, like or do with Bitcoin. Um, while they're like, oh, like this is censorship resistant money, blah blah blah. It seems a little bit odd to me.
It's, yeah, unserious.
Like that's just not how the world works, right? Especially, and this is the funniest part, like the whole like that whole camp is kind of like extremist, right? In a way, like you're like very very much in the like, hey, this is censorship resistant, and all the like. Let's be real, like all the Bitcoin or most of the Bitcoin maxis are anti-state and like anti-overreach, whatever. And then they're trying to be the state at the end of the day, right? In this equation, they're trying to like impose what they think is right and wrong on the people beneath them at the end of the day. So what they're doing is like they're hating on the people above them while kind of being the exact same way, at least from my kind of naive understanding of the whole situation. Like it looks horrendous to me. Like this is just not how you go about business, especially when it's about a topic that's so near and dear
Yes.
to your heart. Like, makes no
Exactly. It
sense.
also probably discourages people from thinking about developing on Bitcoin and actually building apps, because they won't know if they're going to pass the purity test and get called a Mossad agent on Twitter, as has happened to Udi. So yeah, I disagree with all of this. It just doesn't make any sense. U.S. Federal Reserve increases interest rate by 25 basis points. I'm kind of using this as a precursor to chat about. Well, we sort of covered it a bit. Sort of how relevant is macro now that we've reached Don's magical fair value model for BTC? My personal view is that it's gonna matter again.
Yes.
And
I
we're
agree.
not, this is like a newsletter selling phrase, but we're not out of the woods yet, as far as just the economy goes and macro and risk appetite, etc. Especially if you think about what type of macro conditions were necessary and the amount of sort of access to credit, also just massive fraud. All of that was necessary to take the market through 40, 50, 60K up to 70. And we're already getting to like 30-ish, and macro is still kind of shit. And I feel like my view at the moment is we managed to ignore the fact that macro was bad as a standard sort of market mechanism. This is going to sound super primitive, but the market literally got oversold, right? I mean, people were selling coins they didn't even own. The amount of forced selling going on, it got very sloppy. Usually, whether it's on the monthly time frame or the 5-minute time frame, sloppy trading is kind of mean reverting, or at least has those characteristics. I feel like we've done a decent chunk of the mean reversion, and I think risk appetite needs to be different to what it is now in order for us to start getting into 40, 50, 60, etc., and sort of restore some of get back to those prices. I'm not making the argument that macro needs to be the same in order for prices to be the same. I don't think that's the relationship. But I do think that it's still important, and it takes a while for these kind of interest rates decisions to percolate through the economy and have an impact. And I also feel that we were kind of immune from it because of the amount of narrative plus momentum we had. Momentum from just forced selling at the lows and the subsequent breakout, and also as a result of having an actual plausible narrative with banking failures. But we're already seeing the efficacy of that narrative go down with price action. It's not the same 24K breakout, even though more regional banks are failing, and we don't have the luxury of the same, interest rates and credit spreads and just risk on kind of environment in general. So all of that to say, I still think macro matters. I think we got lucky to some extent that we got to ignore it because of these crypto flows, momentum, kind of asynchronous things. But those things are diminishing in their impact. But I don't think macro is sufficiently fixed for us to kind of keep ignoring it completely. And that doesn't mean it's like, oh, harbinger of doom, that's it, new lows, give Capo the keys to the city. Even something as humble as maybe we just don't trend this year, I think would satisfy that criterion. What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I think in general, just sideways would make the most sense. Sideways in all markets, and especially in crypto. Like, digest all of this craziness above 60 and 70K. Digest all of the craziness below 20K. Like, that's also like completely nuts that we even managed to get that far. I think the only reason why we did was because of all like the shit that was going on in the market. Like, that was just like the worst headlines and the worst events that we've had in general, I think. So like kind of digest that by going sideways would make the most sense to me. Like I said, to me,
And also help
30K.
your life the most.
Yes, I love when that
The
happens.
self-interest TA.
Like, but then again, like, I mean, if it just completely goes full up, I would love that too. I just buy and hold, but it just doesn't seem likely. So I think sideways the name of the game for now, and purging all kinds of speculation. Like, every time I make this comment, people are like, oh, people are always going to gamble. I'm like, yeah, dude, but it's not like you've been rewarded for gambling for too long. And the house is gonna take the money back, and then the chips are gonna get reshuffled, and it's gonna start anew.
You get to
That's
play
kind of,
again. Yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of my view of the markets. I think there's too many people that have no fucking idea what they're doing. Especially also in the traditional markets, right? Just
Oh
throwing
God,
the
yeah.
chips at everything, and I think the market is in a state where that's not gonna net anyone any money. Like, we were in a bullish market, then we had like a bearish break down. So like first the bulls made a shitload of money, then the bears made a shitload of money, and I think now this is the time where it's basically time to give back. And best advice for times when the market trades like it wants to take your money is just either not trade or have like a solid edge that you can use to milk it. But
It's
that's
usually
going
a
to be
humble
difficult.
edge as well in those conditions
Yes.
because there's less going around. I agree with that. Let's see how that one ages. But yeah, we're only halfway through the year. You know, that yearly candle. Anyway, but I don't know if you noticed this, Dom. Balaji loses $1 million Bitcoin bet as US dollar fails to collapse. I know you've been away, but Bitcoin indeed did not go to $1 million.
Oh, shocker.
And so the bet was lost. And he obviously went out and said, I burnt $1 billion to tell you that they were printing trillions, and basically, confirming that it was, if you want to be charitable, a kind of $1 million to raise awareness about the fragility of the banking sector and the potential implications for treasuries and the dollar index and the economy more broadly. That's being very charitable. If you want to be less charitable, it's just a PR publicity stunt that doesn't cost him anything, but got him in the limelight for weeks to come, and sort of propagates his philosophy and reputation and status further. So
yeah, me as a European, I don't like it too much when
sure.
people try to put themselves in the center of the discussion. Like
Yeah.
seems like a piece where you're like, just like, yeah, I'm here, I'm the main character, whatever. I hate that. Just screams insecurity to me, or whatever. It just feels wrong. But then again, I know that cultures are different, so I know. But it's just it's odd.
Maybe
Like,
next time.
maybe next
It's
time,
also
yeah.
just a really bad bet. I think.
I mean, as long as he makes the bet with me next time, I actually I'm very
Yeah.
I'm very supportive of the whole thing.
Understood. Yeah, agreed there. Ethereum withdrawals flatline as meme coins drive ETH burn rates higher. Again, mentioned this in passing. I still think it's a really good narrative. As far as ETH burning deflationary and sell side research at banks sending it to their clients so they FOMO in. I just wish it happens in better conditions and ETH can just go up and we stave off the froth until a bit later. That would be really cool. It also prompted a lot of debate about, and I also saw you tweet about this, when it comes to cost of transacting and affordability of using blockchains and so on and so forth. I saw Ansem get into a bit of a tiff with tiff. I don't know what the British sort of term for that is, but beef on Twitter, because I think Sasal was telling him, "Oh, you know the difference between layer 1, layer 2, right?" Like condescending asshole, with Ansem being one of the brightest guys in the space. Nonetheless, the argument is essentially, well, yes, the base layer is still expensive, and yes, we do have sort of roll-ups and layer 2s, etc. The missing link is having good apps built on those layer 2s that people use instead of just going back to default and using the base layer itself. There's sort of lack of native, the layer 2s just got launched, a lot of them, in the last few months, and it's more about sort of building out app usage so people just go there and use them instead of saying, oh, this is nice, it has a token, I'm going to gamble on it, and then go back to using ETH, or trying to at least. But maybe that's a distinction rather a difference, because if you're the average punter, it doesn't help you that I'm making these intellectual pointing out the differences intellectually, whereas practically, if you want to participate, you're still priced out, which sucks sort of 6 years later.
I find it hilarious that the ETH people, it's like, hey, you could be using layer 2 or whatever. It's like, I mean, make it easy then. Like if you're trying to, like, people are rightfully complaining, I think, because that, like, this is a state that has been around for quite some years, and if it's not like the norm that there's easy ways to kind of avoid the fees and avoid kind of getting shafted, then obviously people are going to complain, right? And I find it like a little bit stupid when you're like, oh, there's solutions out there, but you have to like go around 100 corners to do them. I don't know, just seems odd. But then again, like if they're working on it and if they're gonna implement, I'm gonna be the first one to be like, hey, this is really cool. I'm happy that we're finally getting past this point, because honestly, like every time ETH fee's been going up, and the same is true, at least a little bit for Bitcoin, like every time the fees go up, we top, right? And I think there's a good reason for it. Like when the market basically loses a shitload of, like, all the participants basically get bled dry by ETH fees and Bitcoin fees. Bitcoin not being the biggest problem, hasn't been. Back in the day, like was quite expensive, but not anymore. It's getting actually a little bit more expensive now with the whole Ordinals thing, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's not.
Binance paused Bitcoin withdrawals because of congestion, I think,
Yeah,
like
it's
while
quite
we were
funny.
recording. So
It's quite funny, yeah. But in general, like, I think it's like you kind of, at least to me anyway, every time this happens and I see that I have to pay $100 to send my ETH somewhere, I'm like, okay, this technology is garbage. I'm gonna sell, right? Like that's just kind of in my mind. That's how it goes. Nowadays I know more than I did back in 2017 and 18, where I sold because I was like, this shit. Like, why is anyone using this? I got lucky in that regard because that was actually the top. But like that's been a pretty helpful guiding light whenever fees go crazy, and they've not been as crazy as they have been during the bull market. But given that we're in a bear market and you can barely use this shit, I mean, it makes sense to think about it
it's like
twice.
fees go crazy and we have nothing to show for it.
Yes.
Great combination. SEC crackdown. The best thing that ever happened to crypto. Bloomberg editorial argues, and I can understand this argument as a knee-jerk reaction, right? As in the industry is just full of scam, fraud, everything blew up and retail lost a lot of money. Therefore, the better the crackdown, maybe the better the outcome. But I just think this is a distinctly difficult case to make because of how shit specifically the SEC was, right?
Yes.
So someone like came to me and said the industry blows up because it fails to self-police and it's just complete fraud, and the regulatory body cracks down. Do you think that's more likely to be a good thing or a bad thing? I'll probably say good thing on average. The issue here is the SEC, as we've argued at length, just in my opinion, is just regulating in bad faith at this point, or at least very incompetently, picking and choosing winners, not giving products that would just net benefit the industry as well as their own investors. They're late to everything, choosing really weird targets, making it impossible for good faith businesses to comply with standards which they're not even transparent about, forcing them to go offshore. It just sucks. So I get it. I get why you'd think that you'd want to support the regulator that comes to clean up after the disaster we had in 2021. But this just seems to be the wrong agency or administration or management for it, I think. Like when Coinbase
100%
launches
agree.
an offshore derivatives exchange and USDC market cap like halves and tether dominance goes up, you've fucked up, you know?
Yep. I 100% agree.
So there you go, Mr. Gensler. We know you listen to Casual Fridays. Fix it. The final two I've got is Blur Paradigm devs unveil P2P lending protocol for NFTs. So we're still seeing more iterations of kind of finance type products for NFTs, borrowing, lending, leverage. I've seen some products which are sort of order book based for trading them be in the works. I still don't have actually a view on whether I think that's a good thing or a bad thing. There was something charming and endearing about NFTs not taking themselves too seriously, and I think part of their efficacy as a moat to get people into crypto was because you didn't have to have a finance degree and you weren't being PvP'd by like Jump, Tower, Wintermute at the same time.
Yes.
But as it becomes more of a altcoin with pictures, to quote
Yes.
Kobe, I think more people stand to lose. I mean, increased liquidity is good in general, but I think that applies to financial products, and NFTs occupied this gray space where they were kind of just like a fun Trojan horse way to get into crypto. And if you strip it down into perps with pictures, I think we lose some of that magic. What do you think?
I actually 100% agree. Like, if you put leverage
God, your
and all
job
that,
is so easy, Don. I have to fucking sit here and articulate the whole thing. And then you're like, yep.
Yep. I mean, the thing about it all is, right, like, if you want to trade with leverage and all that kind of shit, might as well just trade shit coins. Like, I don't get the point. Like, why would I necessarily want to be trading NFTs on leverage if I can just trade a shit coin on leverage? Like, if it's all about the trading part, right, then I might as well just trade the typical old coins. But maybe I'm too stupid to understand. But for me, it makes sense. You buy the picture, you have it. You might sell it later, whatever. But you have you can make it part of your identity, and I think that's the big kind of draw, because during bull markets, people can kind of attach that to themselves, like the whole Bored Ape Yacht Club thing. And during the bull market, like, they took this and they ran with it so fucking far, right? I don't think if people didn't take it as their personality, that would have gone as well. And now, like, they own like a tenth of an ape with leverage. I don't think that is necessarily the same kind of vibe. and I think it makes it less interesting overall. But then again, like I don't really care too much. It's the same with the shit coins, like the complete meme coins. Like I don't necessarily trade it. Every time I trade it, I either lose ETH or dollars. I got completely. I
No
got
wonder you don't like it.
dude, I got rugged by President Trump or ex-President Trump.
You got diluted as fuck,
Oh
right?
yeah. I mean, I basically, I mean, I think I lost like I don't know, $50,000 maybe.
Nice.
It's not too bad, but it was just kind of like he just released a
You can't be surprised,
version.
right? This is like the most
No.
Trump thing ever. Like you got scammed by Trump.
Yes, the
Join
funny
the
thing
list.
is, I actually had it on a live stream, and it's still on Twitter, and not on Twitter, on YouTube. I actually said exactly what happened after. Like I was like, I mean, I bought it. You probably shouldn't because Trump can just come out and make a new one. And then, yep, now we're here. But like the reason, like, and I mean, this is completely off topic, but it's just such a stupid thing to do, right? Like for him, like if he's gonna be advised by someone to make all of this, right? And obviously, if he keeps making new ones, people are not going to trade his old ones. And he made 10% royalties on every trade, right? So by nuking his entire collection, he basically killed all the trading interest, obviously, because I mean, it's infinite. Like he can just print infinite more. Every time it's going to go up, you're going to expect a new drop, which is going to basically make the price go to zero eventually. So he basically shot himself in the foot, could have made much more money with it, but I'm not surprised. So like that's the whole like if I'm trading NFTs, I want to have some fun with it. So like I don't mind like blowing a few like
Bitcoins.
losing a bunch of money on it basically. But if it's just for a leverage trade, I struggle to see the reason why I would want to do this over just trading
things that are
Bitcoin or
built for it.
leverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the real question is why are you funneling funds to Trump's campaign via royalties and trading as NFTs? But I'm sure the special prosecutor is a better person to ask that question than me. And I look forward to your answers, especially as a German citizen.
Yeah.
The final question, not final question, final article that raises questions, I suppose that works. While Binance battles regulators, its 9 billion VC arm keeps growing. And it just has some, went up from 7.5 to 9. And they have all the labs and incubators and their returns and some commentary about the state of crypto VC, etc. I just brought this up because it just feels a bit weird for the Monolith, biggest exchange in the space, to actively also take part in like venture level speculation. Or at least, even if it doesn't feel weird, there's a chance for a perceived conflict of interest. And this is something that no one ever talks about, like on Twitter or anything, right? Like I know there's the Launchpad and the Innovation Zone and all this other stuff, but the fact that by far the biggest exchange in the space is in a position where they could potentially basically pick winners and have a large influence, especially over like startups and small market cap type of things, it at least raises a sort of ethical eyebrow. I don't know what my view on that is. It kind of, I don't know if other exchanges do similar. I believe they do, or at least they probably do behind closed doors. But the whole point about conflict of interest isn't to prove that there's a relationship where they're picking winners or doing anything else. Like conflict of interest becomes conflict of interest when it can be reasonably perceived to exist, right? So like the perception of a conflict of interest is almost as bad as a conflict of interest per se. So this is, I just realized that this is something I just never really thought about. And at its core, given it's the biggest exchange, its business should be just to match orders, right? And then maybe like support the ecosystem and do whatever else. But when you get into like direct speculation where your entire nearly $10 billion mandate is to pick winners, and you also happen to have the biggest exchange in the space, I think it raises at least a point of interesting discussion. Like I don't expect anything to come of it. And just in general, we know that the exchange businesses and crypto, as we all learn for the most part, the risk management that goes on there and the regulatory structures they adhere to are can vary. Your mileage may vary. Let's go with that. But the fact that it's Binance, I think, is interesting. And yeah, I don't really have any concrete thoughts on this. It was just those two things together. Biggest exchange, by the way, $10 billion VC arm, and I've never seen any chatter of it either. So I thought I'd raise it to see what you think.
Yeah, the thing with Binance in general is that it's just way too big. Like if we had competitors, right? This whole thing would be less of a problem because at the end of the day, like if you have a bunch of competitors, like if it's only Binance and they kind of like can decide what gets listed and what doesn't, and it's like 90% of the crypto volume is gonna flow through Binance. Um, like they can legit, like you said, pick winners. It's just easy as that. Like you put eyes on it and you make the market, and then people have to trade it because that's just how it goes. So I think like in general, like we have like a big problem right now with Binance being too big, and I don't know how that's gonna end. Like if anything happens to Binance, we have a problem. If nothing happens to Binance and this keeps going on, we'll also have a problem, right? Because I don't think the market is going to be healthy with the state of like with how it is right now. Like you cannot have too big of a market share in one hand, and I'm a little bit worried about all of that, honestly. Like that makes me like they have too much power. And if you have a centralized entity in crypto that has all the power, kind of defeats the purpose, no? Like that just in my opinion, it's just like
And we've seen the
I don't know.
impact that exchanges going down can have
Yes.
on the space as well.
So that's like a big problem that needs to be solved. I just don't know how because every time like all the American exchanges get nuked by the SEC, they're trying and but they cannot.
Yeah.
And then the offshore ones just run away with your money. Binance so far seems to be the only one smart enough to realize that they kind of have like a money printing business.
Yes.
And they so far at least haven't overstepped anywhere too far, like in
Well,
the
they
sense
cleaned
that
up their act is probably a better assessment,
yes,
right? They were like
yes,
very aggressive initially to get over the hurdles and become number one, and then it's just been cleaning up since then,
and
which is commendable. That's how it works, like in a lot of
mhm,
businesses, right? Tough and gritty initially, and you sort of operate allegedly in Minecraft in some gray areas, as per some of the DOJ, not DOJ, CFTC allegations. And then when you get big enough and you make it, that's when you go on your redemption arc.
yeah, just fingers crossed that they don't do anything stupid that puts the entire industry in jeopardy. That's just shitty, you know, like one point of failure in a
Yes.
sense
The
for
fact we have
like
to think about it, yeah.
because if you remember like Cryptopia for the
Of
people that are a
course.
little bit older in like in crypto, like a lot of shitcoins died with this, right? They were only listed on that exchange. It was the kind of garbage coin exchange to go to, right? If you wanted to trade something that was a little bit smaller, you went there, you traded it, and then they ran away with the money basically at the end of the day, went bankrupt, and the coins that were only listed there went away, right? So if you have, and I mean, I'm not saying that Binance is going to go down. I don't think they will. I'd be shocked. But just having that single point of failure, right, is just not nice to have. Like that's always going to raise eyebrows and it's always going to keep some of the like more risk averse people from investing. I think like why would you be buying something that's only listed on one exchange that you
Yes.
don't fully trust?
Yeah.
It's a problem and that needs
Unless
to be
it's a meme
solved.
coin and you're gonna make 10,000% and you're
Of
just
course.
early.
Of course, always.
Awesome. That's really all I've got. I think we managed to cover a fair bit of content there. And to our
Hmm.
subscribers, audience, supporters, listeners, whoever you are, individuals, thank you for bearing with us while we were on break. And it's nice to be back. And leave us a comment, what you thought of the show, if you felt we were rusty, and like the video as always. Don, anything you want to round us up with? Summarize what you're paying attention to, big life castle things, in
No,
a non-pejorative way, or what's
no,
your vibe?
all good. I have nothing to do, nothing big planned. It's just gonna be a little bit of a boring next few months. I mean, for me not, but I think for the market. So
Those two go well together.
yep.
As always, the show is now supported by WooX. That's an exchange where, especially given the spiel we just said about exchanges, I'm sure you're very compelled to go trade somewhere. But nonetheless, links are available in the description, or at the very least, do me a favor and read the article that we wrote on this partnership pretty much. And there's actually a lot of educational stuff there. There are 2 sub-articles about counterparty risk and leverage as a risk mitigation tool. We talk about payment for order flow, 0 fees, aggregated liquidity, counterparty risk, TOS stuff, and there are other sub-articles about the transparency dashboard, execution dashboard. Put some thought into this, and we'd appreciate if you checked it out, or at least rate our writing, I suppose. And if you want to try it out, there's a shill link in the description that gives you 0 fee trading unlocked for any deposits over $100 or something for 2 weeks. So if you want to try out that way of trading, check it out. But really, you should start with reading the long form article and see where you sit. But we'd appreciate some attention there nonetheless. That's all from us. See you next week. Don, thank you, and have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.